He kōna ipurangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
Just a quick warning, this episode touches on sensitive topics like suicide, so do take care with your listening. And if you need help, you can free call or text 1737 to speak with a trained counsellor.
We walked past my whānau urupa, the cemetery that sits in the middle of Kaikohe. So there's the urupa where my mum and my brother and all my tupuna lay. Then we walked past a few shops, past the bottle store on the corner, and then into that sort of like that little park area next to the library. And on the wall, they've described it as the Wall of Fame.
The Wall of Fame, as locals call it, is a mural.
And so over here, that's me, It's quite emotional to look at. I didn't expect that to happen. There's also like one of my school teachers, he's on there because he played for New Zealand soccer, just celebrating local success. And the idea was to inspire our rangatahi that people from Kaikohe can do it, so you can too. I mean, here's my sister-in-law, Cheryl. Two-time world champion Blackfern. I didn't think I'd get emotional. Why did I get emotional? That's just cool. It's cool to see them up there.
Looking at that image of yourself now, what are you seeing?
I guess it's not so much what I'm seeing, it's more what it represents. And when I lived in Auckland, I'd lost my connection to Kaikohe. I had become an Aucklander. I'm just going to say it. And then going home and then reconnecting with Kaikohe, I actually realised how many years I had lost and how much connection I had lost to that whenua, you know, that town, that land. So that picture represents me coming home, walking past my brother and my mum every day. It represents all of those sorts of things and how important the small town is to me. And then also how important I must be to this small town. Yeah, it's part of my whakapapa. Less words, more do? Okay. They said I'm number one, but sorry, I lied. I'm number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's go. Kia ora, I'm Daniella Smith, and this is Uncut, Diamond Daniella, my story. How I became a boxing world champion, and then what happened next. Producer Dane Giroux is helping me to tell the tale. It's him I was showing around my hometown of Kaikohe earlier this year.
So when we were standing there looking at that mural, you hadn't boxed in 10 years.
Yeah.
Did you have any regrets?
I'm a firm believer in not having regrets. You make the best of your situation. My mother was that woman who would say, Daniella, you have all these skills to be able to go and do something else and be brilliant at that. So I was raised with parents that believed you don't have to just be good at one thing. You can be good at so many things, you know. So I boxed for 17 years. When I got there, achieved the pinnacle of my sport. It just wasn't what I expected. And I lost myself. A friend of mine, she used to say to me, I make a better loser than a winner. And when I lost my title in South Africa, it was a bit of a relief, actually. I'd come home to Auckland. This time, there were no cameras waiting for me. My son Jordan was basically an adult now. He was 19. Talia was 15, and she was there to meet me at the airport. First and foremost, I'm a mother, you know, and I had to think about my health because I'm here on earth to look after these 2 children. and I'm responsible for them. So I had to make a really tough decision, part with the love of my life for a little bit, like, let's take a break, boxing. And decided to take up a whole different sport. I clearly couldn't retire from sport entirely. I'm a competitive being. I need to do something. I mean, for crying out loud, I needed to make use of the great body I had from boxing. Let's get real. So I decided, with the help of my conditioning coach, to do a body sculpting competition. He said, Dan's, it's good news and bad news. Okay. What's the bad news? And he said, the comp's in 8 weeks' time. I didn't know that was bad. I just thought, I can do this in 8 weeks. I didn't know what the big deal was. There's more bad news. He goes, a little bit. He goes, and it's the New Zealand champs.
So what even is body sculpting?
It's like getting up on stage in bugger all clothes, hooker heels, and posing like crazy. And who's got the best poses, who's got the best muscles, and who's got the best ass? No, I don't know. Seriously though, you're showing them everything. There's not a lot left to the imagination. This was the first time I'd ever worn a bikini. I think ever. And, I was that Māori girl who, was a bit shy. But this sport, body sculpting, there was no time for shyness in this. It was about showing your body. And it wasn't so much about what your body could do. It was more the aesthetics of what your body looks like. So it wasn't normal for someone from the street to go straight into the New Zealand champs. But they said it's all good for you to go in it because you're a world champion boxer. I was like, that's good news, isn't it? And he goes, there's a little bit more. What? Dad, you got to weigh 57 kilos to be in the athletic division. I went, what? I've got to be 57 kilos. I said, I'm scrawny as now. He goes, no, we can cut that up. He goes, there's still a bit, I can still see a bit on your stomach. He goes, no, you'll be sweet as. I went, okay, let's do it. I went, what was the good news? And he goes, I'm going to train you. In 2 months, I needed to drop from 67 to 57 kilos. Remembering that you have to be up to scratch against world champions on stage, and I've got 8 weeks. The training was really hard. When I've told people that I've done a bodybuilding competition and lost 10 kilos in 8 weeks, they just cannot believe it. What someone might do in 16 weeks, I did in 8. It was really, really hard. But I'm going to say this hand on heart, nowhere near as hard as a boxing fight. Because I'm telling you, 10 rounds of boxing is way harder. I was like, these guys think this is hard. You know what the hardest thing was? Walking in high heel shoes. That was the hardest thing for me. And posing. Everyone said, you're the biggest poser I know. You'll be fine. Well, I was hopeless at posing. What I was better at, thanks to my professional boxing career, was making weight and making it fast. So I get up, it's 4 a.m. I hadn't been eating or drinking. I go into the gym, put on a whole heap of sweat gear, and I just get in the ring and I skip. I skip for 2 hours probably. And I'd lost, I think, a kilo. I'm skipping and then I'm resting, because I'm just, I actually thought my organs were like failing at one point.
So were you doing this all on your own?
Well, from 4 a.m. to around about 9 o'clock I was. It was quite a lonely, dark time for me. So when I saw my bestie Katrina Sloan, walking into the gym, I was like, she's my saving grace. I needed that extra pick-me-up. you walked in about 10?
Yeah, she just burst into tears, which then of course made me cry. And then we went to, was it Lovelock?
Yep,
Track?
Lovelock Track, yep.
She was just frail, muscly, but skin and bone. Like there was like nothing on her. And so we'd run and then walk. And like she was still beating me. I was like, how are you doing it? But it was a mental strength. Like she was so determined. And again, I had no doubt in my mind that she would make that weight.
The food is not a problem. It didn't care about not eating. It was just water, wanting to have a drink of water. And if you did, you had to swirl it around in your mouth and then spit it out. You couldn't actually swallow. I've got rubbish bags around my body. I'm wearing probably 2 of them, and one is strapped around my stomach. And I would have had about 5 pairs of pants on and probably 6 tops, a rubbish bag tied around my head, and a beanie. So I'm trying to create all this heat so I can lose the weight. Actually, saying it out loud makes me think this is actually terrible for people to do. The championships were being held at the Bruce Mason Centre, and that was back in 2011. And again, I needed to weigh in. Make a weight I have never been in my entire adult life. Run up the stairs. Said, I'm ready now. And I just take all my clothes off. I'm butt naked. Of course I cover myself. I'm not entirely ridiculous. Hop on the scales, and I made the weight. Me and Turner just turn around and he embraces me big time. Turner Ormsby, he was the guy who trained me for this event. And we're like, yes, 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 we're so happy. And then I go, bro, I've got no clothes on. And his girlfriend's standing there, and I went, I'm so sorry. All that sweating paid off. The next challenge was getting the colour right. I need to get my tan put on me. Yep, you got it. It was Treens to the rescue again. My daughter says, oh man, Treens, poor you. You always have to do this stuff for mum. I can't watch this. I can't watch. Because she has to get between some crevices and things like that. But she was very professional, and I wasn't fussed. I was like, we're best mates. She's seen this before. I joined 5 other women on stage. We were tanned to the max and wearing very little. I had the biggest support group by far. But it's probably because I was the novelty, And my friends were just super proud. It wasn't like it's her 15th competition. It was my first and my only. It's really funny because it's such a fake world. People in beauty pageants talk about the bitchiness that goes on. There was a little bit of that. And I was really disappointed with one of the women. She was a world champion. She had an opportunity to be a role model to someone like me, and she just wasn't. I remember saying to one of the girls, I said, oh my gosh, I'm really thirsty. I want to drink some water. She goes, and she just turned around and she goes, well, I get my water from my broccoli. When I went out, I did a Michael Jackson routine. With the hat and the glove, and I walked out, and there was Trees, there was Jenny, there was Monty, all the boys from the gym, and they just went crazy. And it felt so cool to have that support. In my routine, I did 1-arm push-ups. And I know you're not supposed to, but I don't care. Because I can do 1-arm push-ups and yous can't. It was just a bit of fun for me, and I had fun out there. I come 4th, and that's fine. I was proud of myself for just getting out of my comfort zone and doing something different. Monty said to me, actually, it was quite funny afterwards, he goes, I found it really hard looking at your bum, girl. Then after the event, Trina and I, we go home. We buy 3 pizzas, a box of lolly water alcoholic drinks, premixes each, and we eat all the pizza, and drank all the alcohol and went to bed. And it was great. I joke about that time and all its extremes, but looking back, I think I had some kind of body dysmorphia. I wanted perfection with a body. Luckily, this comp was a one-off. Turner left for Australia, and I stopped doing the body sculpting. I didn't want to do it without him, but in hindsight, was really healthy for me not to put my body, my organs, my mental health through all that again, yeah. So people talk about boxing being a dangerous sport, and I'm not going to say it's not, but what I put my body through in body sculpting, that's next level. In 2012, I got asked to fight on a charity boxing event.
And now making her way to the red corner, this is Lauren Eagle Eagle!
They wanted me to fight the Australian girl, Lauren Eagle.
Of course, this year, women's boxing made its debut at the Olympics.
I think Lauren thought, this will be an easy beat, she's old now, I'll get her. And you know what, she was probably right, but yeah, I'm not letting Lauren Eagle beat me on a fight for life.
Here she is, a 24-year-old, and
I think I was 40 at that time, yeah. And you know what was really funny? Because she had a fan page and a huge social media following. I mean, I think she was a model. She was a very attractive woman. And there was a photo of us at the weigh-in, and I looked like a junkie because I've just had to lose weight to fight her.
Get a cut,
Please put your hands
badly
together
bruised, a broken
for
nose or something like that, and your world title fight's over.
Smith!
And you won that fight.
Yeah, I beat Lauren, yeah.
Was that the night that your daughter Talia was on the card too?
It wasn't actually that night, but there was an event where I fought, and Talia and I were both on the card, and we both won, which was really quite cool. At the time, I remember being super proud, super excited. I was really looking forward to seeing her develop as a fighter.
Well, I first started training, it was my year 13, and the only plan really was just to start training so I could lose weight for the ball. And so I was training with Mum and then my cousin from up north, Dane, and then Mum goes, do you guys want to have a boxing fight? And we're like, oh yeah, okay, that sounds cool. And then all of a sudden, training's like 10 times harder. She's getting us to spar all these really, really good people.
As time went on, it became quite a frustrating experience, and it probably was for her too. This mother who had these really high expectations.
We had to spar Mum for our last spar, and oh my gosh, she just absolutely beat us to a pulp, basically. Because she was like, if I can beat you up, your opponent's not going to do anything like this, so you guys will be ready. And we just thought, okay.
Please be mindful that the power shots were not to the head. It was just the way I approached the spar, because I wasn't mum or auntie in that situation. I was going to be the scariest, toughest opponent they'd ever faced. I needed Talia to realise that, the ring is no joke, and you need to be prepared for any situation. I was trying to toughen her up, but it was horrible to be a part of. Between every round, I turned around and I was in tears. They got in the ring, the bell went, and they stood there. Now, I'm going to say, it felt like a minute, but it was probably 10, 20 seconds, where they just stood there staring at each other, and nothing happened. And then I just screamed out, "Come on there!" So then they start fighting, and it was clear Talia was the better boxer. She was the more skilled, the stronger of the two. And yeah, she stopped her opponent in the final round.
Mum always said, that first fight will always be one of the best feelings you've ever had, because you've never actually really had a high like that before.
I don't necessarily think winning was the objective. Well, it always is the objective, isn't it? I would have been proud of her regardless. She went outside her comfort zone. She got in the ring. She went to that scary place, the unknown, didn't know what it was going to be like. And she fought to the best of her ability. As a mum, I was proud of my child. Winning was a bonus. I remember seeing my daughter win a boxing fight, and she went to the toilets and started crying. And I knocked on the door and I went in and I was just like, darling, why are you crying? She goes, I didn't fight very well. And I went, sweetheart, you won. I said, please don't be like me. Don't be like me and sad when you win. And we just sat in there on the floor of the toilets, hugging, and she's still crying. But I just said to her, I just want you to enjoy the sport. Don't get caught up in the winning and the losing and what other people think. Have fun. I forgot about the fun. For 17 years, I put my body through hell. Training, boxing, body sculpting. I went through highs and lows, losing weight, gaining weight. So in 2013, I had a couple more fights. And then again in 2014. Look, it was just time to retire. And to be pretty honest, I think I discovered, which was hard, I don't think I was as good as I used to be.
I had an interesting convo with Sue Glassy, your first professional opponent.
Hey, how you doing?
It's pretty hardcore what she says about retirement.
Retirement was hard because it's your whole focus. It gives you a lot of your self-worth, and it's a really hard thing to give up.
When I first walked into the pro ranks, Sue was the champion, and look, I rated myself, but you still looked up to the champion and had mad respect.
I guess when you've been in the fight game for a while, you get guys that really see who you are and really value you as an athlete. Then when you take from that, you just become a regular person again. And, in the world, being a woman is second rate to men. And when you've been standing next to them on equal footing, it's hard to step back and become lesser. Yes. That's why I've spent the rest of my life fighting for women, because it's so unfair.
Seeing Sue get all emotional, my gosh, now I'm emotional. And it was really interesting hearing her talk about this. Made her feel like she was equal to a man. The sport provided that. And I love that. I love that so much. I've never thought about it like that. But isn't it interesting that the sport can provide something different for one woman and something for another, and yet it's that tool of empowerment, that vehicle that can lift woman up. I don't actually agree with her. I think that we can't fight forever, and so therefore it doesn't mean you're less of a woman or less of a warrior. Being a fighter was my life. That was my identity. Of course, I'm going to miss being Diamond Daniella, and a part of me really struggled with that, with coming to terms with that, because it's about losing a part of yourself.
So how old are you at this point?
It's funny, I was 42, and really that sounds still quite young.
Does it sound young for a fighter? I mean, I think you're getting there, aren't you?
Oh, of course you'd say that. You're a man. I was ready to retire. I was ready for the next chapter. And I got quite excited about what in my head at that time, I was thinking, I'm going to coach the next world champion. And you know what's really funny? Is that one of those girls was Miyamoto. So I actually did. Okay, Not taking anything away from Peachy.
That's Isaac Peach, Miyamoto's coach, out of Peach Boxing Gym in West Auckland.
It's 2015. I wanted to train women, and I wanted to do something a little bit different. I had no clue how to do this. I had no experience. So I created the Boxing Alley $1 Million Babies.
After the movie.
No, after me. Yes, the movie.
Mr. Dunn?
I owe you money.
Thought you might be interested in training me.
I don't train girls.
People see me fight, say I'm pretty tough.
Girly, tough ain't enough.
I just wanted to start coaching female boxers and get them to compete the elite amateur level in the country, yeah.
Fighting out of the blue corner, Hayley, the incredible Holt.
Hayley Holt, the TV presenter, was the first Boxing Alley $1 Million Baby. She wore the hoodie with the $1 Million Baby logo on the back into her fights. And so that became the logo of our girls, and their profiles just went crazy on social media.
So who were the $1 Million Babies?
We had Miyamoto. I think most people are familiar with that name now. The Nightmare. And her younger sister, Sally. Dane Marino Painting, my niece from Kawakoa. She was also there. And of course, my baby Smith, we called her, Talia.
Tonight, Talia Smith!
I nicknamed them, they all had their own hashtags. Mia was AK-47, and she had this tick-tick boom at the end. AK-47, working on the guns. And they had followers from all around the world. And some videos went viral with something like 500,000 views. Sunday morning at Delhi. They received a lot of sponsorship money. They were given a lot of opportunities, got quite a lot of attention and traction. So I just said to them, there's a charity that's close to my heart, the New Zealand Women's Refuge. I had been working with a group of women from the refuge in Avondale, taking them for boxing training. And it was with them sharing their testimonies and their stories and their journey through violence, domestic violence and hardship, that I remember thinking, wow, I'm supposed to be this woman of New Zealand boxing, this strong wahine. And I don't have the courage, like you, to stand up and tell my story. I'm embarrassed. I allowed myself to be put through that. Why am I embarrassed?
I had never experienced anything like that before, being hit by a man, being hit with anger.
This is Daniella talking for the first time about her experience of domestic violence on the hui.
Boxing's different. It's sport. You're competing. You're scoring points. It was very different to emotion, being hit with emotion and with hate.
I wasn't supposed to be a victim or someone. I don't view myself as a victim, and it's so hard to understand the mind of a woman that has been through that and then comes out the other side, and it's just like, okay, well, let's just keep that to ourselves,
How would you explain the bruises to other people?
When you're a woman boxer and you get hit a lot, you can disguise bruises that didn't come from fights or from training and stuff. It wasn't like it was a daily thing. It wasn't, and even sometimes it'd be like it would go for weeks and nothing would happen. But then all of a sudden, you just see the eyes change and you just know.
What was going through your head when those eyes changed?
Absolute fear. Absolute fear. Absolute fear. People always say, oh yeah, but she's tough. She can handle it. When you think you're going to be killed, you can't handle that.
We're not going to say who the man was, but just to be clear, it wasn't Talia or Jordan's father, or any of the men who have been named or featured in this podcast.
The fact that I left that situation and had the courage to walk out that door, that's what defines me. Now as a nearly 52-year-old grandmother, mother, wahine, I don't resonate with that 30-something-year-old girl. But that once was me. You know, I still have to remember that once was me, that was once my journey. And maybe if I didn't experience it, I wouldn't be who I am now. Because all those things made you who you are today. The strong, confident wahine that wants to help others. It took me a while, but I'm not ashamed anymore. That was something that I went through. I mean, really, I should go back and slap that 30-something-year-old around the head, but hey, I don't have that ability. And she probably needed a cuddle. And that was the birth of Diamonds in the Ring. We set up these fight camps. They were 12 weeks or 15, some ridiculous length of time, to learn to fight. We had all these charitable events where the idea was for them to seek empowerment from giving to others. And we formed a very close relationship with several refuges throughout Auckland. And I'm making all the stuff up on the fly. And I'm like, right, now we're going to do a fundraiser and we're going to get people to sponsor you how many times you can run around Mount Eden. And of course, this money goes to the refuge. When I first set up these events, I never thought it would attract a lot of people. There's so many people, men and women. And I was blown away by how people were just resonated with the Women's Refuge and how domestic violence had impacted their lives.
So there are people out there that would say violence got these women into this situation and boxing is a violent sport.
Boxing is a sport that gave this young girl from Kaikohe the ability and the opportunity to dream big and achieve goals beyond her belief, to travel the world, to take my children to Disneyland, give my children experiences, I only dreamed of. That's what it provided for me. It taught me discipline. It taught me hard work, resilience, never giving up, follow through, all these things that are lessons for life. The work I was doing through my own gym and charity was so fulfilling, helping women and empowering whānau. Training new boxers, I just really loved it. But after COVID hit, everything changed, and it was time to head north to Kaikohe. My mum was quite sick. I just had enough of Auckland. I was just like, I'm over this. I want to come home. So the 24th of December 2020, my Facebook post says, I arrive up north 10 minutes ago. I walk in. My mum, you look good, Dandy. I thought you'd look haggard. Day one, 10 minutes to be exact, and the compliments are flowing. Nothing like being home. Merry Christmas. I wanted to be with my parents. They were getting older. They needed more support. I'd had enough of the city. It was my time to go home. A new journey, was about to unfold for, Daniella Smith. I love my job, and I could do my job in Auckland, but up north, they're my people. I'm from there. And, I'm a proud wahine of Taitokoro, and they look at me like I'm one of theirs. So I feel a connection there. So I'm happy there. It is my happy place.
What is your job?
Well, during the week, so I'm employed by Department of Corrections and I run departmental rehabilitation programs in the prison and in the community. My brother suggested I apply for the job. He used to actually be a program facilitator, and he came down and watched me doing Diamonds in the Ring and working with the men and women. And he said to me, honestly, Danny, I think you should be a program facilitator. You'd be so good at it. I was absolutely hopeless. I thought I'd be great too, you know, but it's so different. It's so different to anything I had done before. I'll never forget one of the ladies I was working with said to me, "Oh, you're not very good at typing, are you?" And I went, "Yeah, but are you any good at boxing?" I said, "Hey, let's point out the obvious." They found me a little odd. The word, how was I described? I'm a straight shooter, apparently. I had planned to return to Auckland. And then my mother passed away, you know, and we buried her in our family urupa, in our cemetery. And I was like, I can't go. I can't leave my mum. I just could not leave. Kaikwe is home now. I don't plan on leaving anytime soon.
Ko Daniella Smith o ngā tika hungunu me ngā puhi te wahine tuatahi hei toa IBF o te ao.
They finally recognised about time.
Where she was officially inducted into the International Women's Boxing Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah, I guess that was a thing. Yeah, it was 2023. I got inducted into the Hall of Fame, which was a cool thing.
Were you pinching yourself? I mean, did you ever expect to get this phone call?
I didn't, I think didn't even know there was a thing, to be honest. At this stage of my life, I felt so far removed from my boxing life. And then when I got this, it sort of brought a lot of memories flooding back in. And I feel that it was the right moment for me to... Because, you know, when I won my world title, I got all funny about coming back to New Zealand and wasn't proud of myself. But this was different. Dad, Talia, and my moko and Naya, they all came with me. I also had 10 kids and 3 mums come with us. The rangatahi were kids from the local kura that I trained. And that made it special because it wasn't a celebration on my own. Yeah, that was really beautiful. You know, Vegas has got the bright lights, you know, the stench of marijuana smoke floating around because it's all legal there. And my granddaughter and I kept saying, there's a naughty smell. It's like, good girl, my darling. Yes, it is a naughty smell.
She is also only the 3rd New Zealander and first woman to ever win a world title. Please welcome Daniella.
That was a really beautiful evening, standing in front of Christy Martin, the coal miner's daughter, a woman that I knew on the very first day when I'd started boxing, you know, that she was the elite female of the time. Just loved it. Seeing Tracy Bird and sharing stories about when I trained with her father and her brother, you know, that was really special. Being around Layla Makara, talking about fighting with her. I got to meet the trailblazers that took on those authorities, that went to court and fought for our right to fight. I get so emotional about that. Honestly, like, just hearing their stories and how they took on the government, I'm just like, oh my gosh, you're bringing things before court to legislate our right to fight. They're such heroes. Sorry. They're such heroes, you know, like, without them, we wouldn't have been able to fight. because they paved that way. They made it possible for us. I got up there and I just talked about everyone that was down there. And they loved it, you know, they loved it because that was the reason I boxed. These people, these amazing people that I'm standing in front of. And I, you know, and I paid my respects to our rangatiras, David to it. And the crowd went crazy, you know. And then I paid respects to my father, who's come all the way from New Zealand, and he stood up, oh gosh. Puts his arms in the air and turning around.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't take this guy anywhere. And it was so funny. And yeah, and then on the completion of my acceptance speech, the kids just break out in haka. It's beautiful. They blew the place away. We just like had the standing ovation. It was breathtaking. It was so amazing. These days, you can often find me training fighters in the Mill Gym in Kaikohe. Or occasionally, I chuck the gloves on and train with them. And, of course, little Anaya comes along too. No, hop up, you can't. Well, you can't stand on that. That's for boxing. You break it. Sorry. 112. So, I've come a long way since we drove down that dark driveway to the Maritime Gym in 1997. Getting in the ring for the first time, getting my first amateur fight, and winning multiple national titles. I won the world title in Germany, the IBF welterweight belt that still sits in my cupboard to this day. And then I lost it. I loved fighting. I loved fighting more than anything. I've never had a relationship with anyone or anything as strong as what I did with boxing. Because boxing never disappointed. Boxing was always there. Boxing, that's not true. Boxing did disappoint at times, but I don't know. I love boxing. Yeah, I don't have that same love for it now. Don't want to be involved in boxing. No. I'm retiring. I think I even sort of mentioned something about it on a Facebook post, and so then people would see me in photos with boxing teams or boxing groups taking boxing. They're like, "You're not very good at retiring, are you?" Yeah, so. But yes, no. It just doesn't go away. It's always there. So I think I found some peace with that. And now looking back, I can see my career for what it was. Something I didn't always appreciate at the time. A wild ride, but cool as hell. I'm still not that comfortable with the fame thing, but I am comfortable with my success. We are allowed to be proud of ourselves. And that's a huge lesson for me. And it's important to be proud of yourself. And, you know, I have achieved some really cool things. And you know what? You go, girl. You be proud of yourself for that. Like standing back, it's like you've walked down this really long hallway and then you've turned around and you've just looked and at all the neat things that you've achieved in 52 years on this earth. But what's really exciting is if I turn back around the other way and look ahead, it's like, I've got all those years to do some way more amazing things. And isn't that cool?
Thank you for listening to Uncut, Diamond Daniella, hosted by and all about Daniella Smith. I particularly want to thank Radio Wātia, Whakata Māori, Sky TV and Ngā Taonga for sharing audio of Daniella and her fights, which helped bring her journey alive. Thank you. This podcast was written and produced by me, Dane Giroux, with help from RNZ producers Phil Vine and Liz Garton. Tim Watkin is RNZ's executive editor of audio, and Brianna Uritage is the production coordinator. Graphics were designed by Eugenia Nagonaya, and special thanks go to Ben Pierce, Jeremy Ansell, and all RNZ's wonderful audio engineers who helped get this podcast out to you. The editor was Lucas Giroux, with original music by Sam Allen. If you enjoyed this podcast, share it far and wide and recommend it to all your friends. Ka kite.